Hello, welcome to the Science of Mindfulness for Connection. My name is Carolyn Crow. I am the Chief Operating Officer of YogaVibes.com, as well as an owner of a studio called Unity Movement and Mindfulness. We are based out of Stuart, Florida. If you're ever in the area, please come by and see us. So first of all, I'd like to start today's session with the 4 attitudes that we should all have toward our mindfulness practice. The first attitude is to have no expectation, meaning we're not coming to this session assuming that mindfulness would bring us any certain relief or outcome. Just be here now. The second attitude is to have no judgment. This means we're here, we're present, having an experience, and whether we find it successful or unsuccessful or however we respond in the moment, it just is. We're not going to correct or judge. The third attitude is to have a beginner's mindset. So whether or not you have done yoga, mindfulness, meditation, or any of those types of practices in the past, we're just going to arrive here being open and curious to what might occur. The last attitude, the fourth, is to be an observer. We're not going to dictate in the first person how our experience is going to be laid out. Just arrive at your mindfulness session, again, curious, but looking at it from the outside, noticing for yourself in a moment how she, him, her, they are reacting to this mindfulness, not necessarily trying to guide the story, just being the witness to the experience itself. The first practice in this mindfulness for connection is to have an actual experience that you can reuse whenever you're ready. So I'd like to ask you to participate in an exercise called square breathing, also sometimes called box breathing. And through this exercise, all you have to do is find a comfortable seated position. It's okay if you have to move throughout the exercise, if something becomes rough and irritating or the body responds in a certain way that makes you tired. But again, take an observer's standpoint. Notice from the outside what it is that is causing that irritation and wonder for yourself if you really do have to move, have to react bodily in any way. So once you are settled and have your easy seated pose, could be standing as well if you sit very, very often, could be in a chair, could be on a floor, and in this case, if you would like, could even be laying down. I want you to just observe your breath for a few rounds before I take you through the square breathing exercise. Just notice through a couple of inhales and exhales, as relaxed as you can be. Maybe the particular pace of your breath, whether the inhales or the exhales are easier or harder. Just notice. And when you're ready, we're going to start to direct or guide this breath in a particular fashion, preparing ourselves for the full exercise. So on your next inhale, let's count up the whole entire breath to 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Pause. Hold that breath in. Count. 1, 2, 3. Next, exhale, length of breath down. 1, 2, 3. Hold the exhale out, same count. 1, 2. You may repeat one more time. I'll talk you through it as we go. Inhale, length of breath. 1, 2, 3. Pause, breath. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause and hold the exhale out. 1, 2, 3. So good. So next layer of the aspect of square breathing is to add that square. We're going to visualize in our mind, drawing with each of the 3 counts, breath counts, the square. First line on the inhale, imagine drawing the top line of your square. 1, 2, 3. Hold the breath in. Draw the next line of your square. 1, 2, 3. Exhale out. Draw the bottom line of your square. 1, 2, 3. And then as you hold the breath out, the last section of your square is drawn. Completing it. 1, 2, 3. We'll add this layer of visualization. For the next count, I'll lead you. On an inhale, begin to draw your square. 1, 2, 3. Pause and hold. Next line. 1, 2, 3. Exhale out. Next line of your square. 1, 2, 3. Hold your exhale out. Last line. 1, 2, 3. Now you might have noticed through this leading of the exercise, there was additional breath, additional count. You might find that your breath is shorter than the 3 pace. You might find your breath is longer than the 3 pace. It's okay to modify, but we're always making the breath. Even count on the inhale, even count on the hold, even count on the exhale, even count on the last hold. I'll give us space and time on this recording to practice on our own. If you would like to, and it's necessary for you, you can always pause the video and lead yourself through the exercise. We'll do this one more time, giving our full effort to the practice. Just listen to the sound of my voice. If you need to adjust once in your easy seated pose, please do. Go ahead and let the eyes close if you feel comfortable doing so, or just find a central focal point where the eyes can rest, not looking around. When you are ready, begin. Inhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Hold the breath out. 1, 2, 3. Enjoy silence for a moment, or repeat the exercise to yourself. So now, since we're in this easy seated pose and we've felt our breath, and perhaps we've noticed how our mind and our body reacts to the pace of the breathing, to adding layers of intensity with the visualization. Maybe you start to notice and observe, does your square have a certain quality? Does it have a color? Does it get a little lopsided? All of this is a part of our thinking mind and our imagination. None of it means one thing or another. And again, in this exercise, and when we're participating in mindfulness, we're just observing the outcome. So when you're ready, if you'd like to move with me, settle the body for the next few minutes as we walk through the rest of this presentation, the science of mindfulness for connection. Go ahead and move in a gentle way. Again, this time is your own, and this is a recording. So if there's anything that you'd like to do in particular on your own, please do. If you'd like to follow along with me, on an inhale, lift shoulders up to the ears, start to drop the chin. Exhale, shoulders down. 2 more times. Inhale, shoulders lift up. Exhale, shoulders down. Last one, inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, shoulders down. If it feels comfortable to you, go ahead and add circles. Inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, roll shoulders back and down. Inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, roll shoulders down and forward. A few more times at your pace. Just moving and observing in this moment, how it comes and how the shoulders are feeling. Whether you notice a relaxation, whether you notice any tension or tightness, not having any expectation one way or the other, being curious as to what is going on with that beginner's mind. When you are complete, go ahead and pause. Take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the nose. Next, we'll move the body just a little bit more. Drop the chin toward the chest, and then move chin toward the left shoulder. Drop the chin toward the chest, move chin toward the right shoulder, and then repeat, making smiles along the chest, moving with your breath. If it feels okay to you and you have no impingement in the cervical part of the spine or anything in the neck, you can make full circles as you're ready. Chin moving up and around, making sure you repeat movements both sides of the body, completing your circles. I'll give you a few moments. And then last, movement that we'll do here seated before we walk ourselves through, again, the science of mindfulness and connection. We'll twist the spine just in an easy fashion. I'm going to face forward toward the camera as I talk through this exercise with you and then model. So twisting the spine, if you notice, there is connection of the spine from the head all the way down to the hips. So moving the spine, especially in a twist, should impact the full length of the body. So first, we're going to take one hand, maybe it's your right, raise it up, and then reach that right hand across the body, somewhere to the left side of you. It might be your thigh, it might be a chair, it might be something that you can reach behind you. And then as you start to breathe just into this gentle portion of the twist, the last and final part that you will add is eyes gazing behind you to the back of your space. So that will mean that chin turns toward that left shoulder in this example, and then eventually chin turns all the way back behind you. The last and final part of your twist, again, if we're being mindful, is to let the eyes gaze as far back behind you as they can, being the last section moment. As you look behind you, take an inhale through the nose, and then exhale, slowly unwind. And then when you're ready, we'll repeat the other side. Left hand lifts up, reach that left hand across the body toward the right side. And as you're ready, we'll go ahead. As you reach that left hand across the body toward that right thigh, right side of the body, a chair, or whatever might be in your space available to you. Again, be here, breathe, notice. When you are ready, you start to add the last and final portions of the twist, moving the body completely to look behind you. Chin follows. And then when you are finally there, the eyes go. Take a deep breath in, slow exhale, and unwind yourself back. And now we'll take ourselves through the science of connection through mindfulness. So I'm going to present a screen for you in PowerPoint. And on the screen, you'll notice it says, we get out of our own way. So one of the benefits of mindfulness, according to neuroscience research, is that it affects certain connections that we make in our brain at a physical level. It dampens activity in the amygdala. It increases connections between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. And both of these parts of the brain, when they are working optimally, help us to be less reactive to our environment, to stress, and even to recover better from stress when it does happen, because it will occur. Life has its ups and downs. And this research was done by the University of California at Berkeley. I recommend looking at the Greater Good magazine and the Greater Good website. They have tons of information out there about mindfulness and various mindfulness practices that can benefit you. The second aspect of mindfulness that helps to increase our connection is that mindfulness practices have been shown to help with relationship satisfaction. It helps us to work through better awareness of ourselves, meaning we are able to draw conclusions better on the commonality between ourselves and others, and be more empathetic, not only to ourselves, but with others. And also that clearness of mind, slowing things down and being more aware of what is a necessary thought and an unnecessary thought allows us to communicate better. So on this slide, it says that several studies have found that a person's ability to be mindful can help predict their relationship satisfaction. And this was a compilation of studies done through the American Psychological Association and the benefits of mindfulness. So at this moment, let's experience what it might look like to be mindful in an exercise where we're starting from the very beginning, drawing our realization and understanding our experience, walking through our five senses. So the five senses being sight, sound, feel, smell, and taste. In this exercise, I want you to imagine that you have an orange, just any orange that you might have experienced throughout your life. Imagine this orange and hold it, perhaps in the palm of your hand, or place it on a surface. Walk through your five senses as you observe this whole orange. How does it smell? What does it look like? Does it have any sound? It certainly does. If it's in its full form, a circle, tap on it, place it in your palm, roll it on your surface. Of course, this orange will have a smell, which might be different in its whole form. And then lastly, notice as you walk through your senses, does a reaction occur in your taste buds in your mouth? Take a deep breath and just walk through, again, your five senses as you, in your mind, observe this orange. Next, in your mind, you are going to start to peel this orange. Peeling the orange and again observing through your five senses what is happening. Is there an increase in the scent of the orange? Maybe you're able to actually feel some of the juice of the orange as you peel it. You could taste this. There's certainly a sound of the skin ripping away from the orange flesh. There's observable changes in sight. Take a moment, a deep breath, and imagine this next part of peeling the orange. And lastly, if you would like to add to this exercise, you might even section off portions of the orange. In your mind, imagine eating the orange or even peeling it further. The sections, the small membrane on the outside of the orange, you could peel that down to the pulp. You can do whatever you would like to end this exercise for you. Last final observation among the five senses, completing this mindfulness orange exercise. Take a deep inhale, slow exhale, and observe your orange. When you are ready, complete. Allow yourself a good deep breath, slow exhale, and come back to the present moment. This orange exercise is one that is common online. You can find additional resources, or there might be some materials attached to this recording online. You can always practice this mindfulness with the orange completely and fully when you do have an orange available to you. You set aside 10 to 15 minutes to really observe and notice minute details of the peeling of the orange, of the eating of the orange, even down to the dimples on the orange skin. Again, any small pieces that come off of your orange once you get inside of it. Take it further and explore when you have a moment. So the last share I will have for you, again, in the science of connection through mindfulness, is that curiosity, again, one of those four attitudes of mindfulness, means that we are more willing to simply observe, not react, and be aware and accept differences of others. This also most often applies to ourselves when we are starting our mindfulness practice. And this particular quote and mindfulness study selection was done by Carnegie Mellon. They had an article that showed how use of smartphone and mindfulness training reduces loneliness and increases social contact. Of course, technology itself can be a hindrance to our actual physical world experience and connection. But in this study, there was a tool that was used on the smartphone to assist people in moderating how they behaved with the smartphone, as well as having time away from use of those technology devices. When we talk about mindfulness interventions, we talk about two key components, said David Creswell, the Associate Professor of Psychology in CMU's Dietrich College of Humanities and Social Sciences. He further quotes, the first is learning to use your attention to monitor your present moment experience, whether that's noting body sensation, like we just did, thoughts, or images. The second is about learning to adopt an attitude of acceptance toward those experiences, going back to our four attitudes of mindfulness, one of openness, curiosity, and non-judgment. So the last mindfulness exercise I will ask you to participate in and have an experience with is called exploring voices. And this is one you might choose additional voices that you could look at yourself as far as what comes up when a certain word or phrase is presented to you. How are you able to understand the reaction, the thought reaction to that particular word? Leave the thought behind and moderate any further additional exploration on the word itself. So in this exploring the voices meditation, go ahead and find an easy seated pose. If you've had a struggle sitting as you've listened to this presentation, go ahead and adjust. Maybe do those shoulder circles, the chin circles, or a gentle twist to either side. Come back to center when you are ready. Take a deep breath in through the nose, slow exhale out the nose. Again, if you feel comfortable, you might close your eyes or find a place where you can rest your gaze throughout the exercise. The voice that I am going to ask you to explore is appreciation. So take a breath as we begin to explore this voice of appreciation. When you hear appreciation, notice if a person or a thing immediately comes to mind. Take a breath in and a breath out. As we explore this voice of appreciation, notice if there are other voices or sounds that interrupt the thoughts, the focus, the attention to appreciation. Let those go as you take a deep inhale, slow exhale. As you explore this voice of appreciation, be aware if there is any sensation in the body. Does anything come up for you, physical or otherwise? Particularly if it is physical at this present time, name it to yourself. Where do you feel appreciation? Breath in, slow exhale. Appreciation is less an emotion and more an attitude or a feeling that we choose. So at the present time, as you hear the word appreciation, if an emotion, reaction comes up, name it. Bring your attention to it, but then let it go. Take a deep breath in, slow exhale. We'll pause at this moment for the next few moments in silence, just exploring this voice of appreciation. And start to bring yourself forward. Maybe you rub the palms together and place warm palms on the back of the neck or the face. Rub the hands on the arms or the legs, or find a little movement for you. Certainly deepen the breath and come back to it. Thank you today for participating in this video and listening along on the science of mindfulness and how it develops or strengthens our connection, particularly social connection, as well as connection to ourselves. So just to repeat, remember the four attitudes of mindfulness whenever you practice. Try to come back to those when you notice anything coming up that is either hampering or preventing you from completing your mindfulness exercise. Always remember that at any point in any day, we might be tired, things might be occurring in our life that really make mindfulness or meditation, even small movement like yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong, it might make it more difficult to participate in those activities. And so you can always, when the exercise itself, as you develop your skills and start to take on more challenging mindfulness or meditation exercises or longer periods of quiet or holds, you might come back to some of these more simple exercises, even throughout the day if you need to. The square breathing, imagining an orange and peeling the orange, or just paying attention to the five senses in a given moment, what is coming up. And then finally, if you would like to add layers onto your mindfulness practice to further your meditation skills, you can take a look at videos on the site that would aid and help you go deeper in your practice. If you have questions, always reach out to a trusted someone, maybe a yoga teacher or someone in your community who could assist. I thank you so much for being here, and namaste.